Alright, so it's 7 Envy here, and this is my first guide, and I'm going to be doing the Champion Lux. So first, let's get on with her spells. Her passive, Illumination, pretty much every time she casts a spell, the enemy gets illuminated, and then Lux's auto attack does an extra magic damage, depending on the level. This is great for harassing in lane phase, and it's alright for damage-wise in the later game. But basically what you want to do is you want to use one spell, hit, then activate your next spell, then hit. So pretty much maximizing your illumination. So pretty much illumination just does that extra bonus, and it synergizes well with Lich Bane or Sheen. Lux's next spell, Light Binding, pretty much it's kind of like Morgana's skill shot, but instead it can snare two units, the initial target and the one behind it, but the one behind it, everything is halved, so that means the snare will only last 1 second instead of two, and the damage will also be half. This is the spell that you want to get first because although it might not seem great in the lane phase at level 1, but it's great for level 1 fights. Getting that snare off two enemies or one enemy can pretty much get you a kill because your team can easily follow up. So it's a great spell to get at level 1 just basically for the fact for level 1 team fights. Next spell, you have your Prismatic Barrier. Pretty much what it does is that Lux throws her wand, which is kind of like Sivir's boomerang. It goes there and back, but instead it pretty much gives a shield towards your allies and yourself. So pretty much this make note that her barrier can also work on true damage like Olaf, Vayne, or Ignite or stuff like that. And also it also refreshes every time it comes there and back. So once you shield your ally and it goes hits him and the boomerang or the ricochet comes back of your shield, then it'll also refresh the shield as well. This is great because when teams are getting clustered in together, you can easily just throw in your shield, then basically you can just shield your whole team and it'll come back to you. So that's what Prismatic Barrier is. And Lucent Singularity is the thing that you max first. It's the most reliable skill to land because it is a small AoE, and also it's great because it also slows the enemy, and also it's great for popping it and then getting illumination so you can hit them once. And also this is your main damaging spell, and it's also great in team fights because it also enhances your damage as a support champion. So basically you can use this in a combination with your light binding. So pretty much what you do is you can use this to slow the enemy down, to light bind them, hit them, then pop your Lucent Singularity because they're snared, then hit them again. It's a great combo from level 1 to 5 and even higher when you don't have your ult up. And finalist Funklin, really don't know how to pronounce this, but pretty much what happens is Lux fires a laser beam, and it's pretty much a 0.5 second delay, but then it's not like Ash's ECA, it's instant, so then it just automatically goes, so there's no traveling time for the projectile except for the point 0.5 channel. So things to know is that in team fights you wanna, as long as you can get many people, if the enemy team is in the line, you wanna shoot them, just so you can get the damage off. You're not trying to go MLG and snipe somebody last team, or like because you're the last one alive in your team fight. You wanna try and get your ult on as soon as possible, and then since it only has a 40-second cooldown later game, when you can also get CDR to make it 24 seconds. So pretty much at the beginning and at the end, you can use your ultimate many times. And also it has a decent AP ratio, which 0.75 AP, so it's pretty good for the damage. And those are Lux's skills. So basically, your skill order, you want to get your Q first, and which is Light Bind. Then you want to get Lucent Singularity, then Prismatic Barrier, Lucent Singularity, and Lucent Singularity. Basically to maximize your damage. But you can vary it. If you want to play more aggressive, you can get your E, Q, E, W, then E. Or if you want to be more defensive, you can get your Q, E, W, E, E. Pretty much, depending on how your playstyle is, you can vary your skill order. But basically, what I do is I don't really get level 2 skill light bind until level 10 to 8ish because you want to know with light bind, as you level it up, it doesn't scale too well because when you level up light bind, the actual duration of the snare does not increase, so you want to note that. So I try to make sure to max out Lucent Singularity first, then Prismatic Barrier, then Light Bind, and would get your ult whenever possible, obviously. Alright, so next we're gonna do Lux's Mastery. So basically what you want to get for reds are Magic Pen, just so you can boost your extra damage. And also for yellows you want to get the MP5 per level, because it helps your mana regen in the lane phase and also in later game. And you want to get blues, you want to get ability power per level, just so you can have some extra ability power in the later game. But you can always substitute it for just flat ability power or whatever you want if you want MP5s. And your quintessences, they can be changed up a bit depending on how you like to play. But what I run are 2 ability power quints and 1 health quint, just so I can get that extra ability power at level 1, but also getting that 1 extra health quint so I can be a little bit more durable in level 1 fights. I just find having the extra health quint just boosts up your HP just by a bit, increasing your durability. So now let's move on to mastery. So pretty much what you do with your masteries is you want to go 9, 0, and 21. Pretty much your classic support, utility, mage, whatever. So you're gonna get your ability power per level all the way down to cooldown reduction to organic knowledge, which pretty much gives you some 15% magic penetration, which is great in the later game when you get a void staff with. And then next you're going to go down your utility tree and you're going to take perseverance just for the extra health and mana regen, the awareness just for your EXP, the MP5 stuff, buff duration, the extra money for greed, and you're going to get 1 in clairvoyance, 1 in flash, and then pretty much just go down just getting all the cooldowns as much as possible. Alright, so pretty much the summoner spells that you want to take are Clairvoyance. Basically, since you're a support character or champion on your team, you want to get Clairvoyance just for the vision, and also Clairvoyance synergizes well with your ult, just in case if you want to finish somebody off, but you can't really see that person, you can always Clairvoyance then ult. But Clairvoyance is great because for level 1 fights you can scout, and also you can scout where the enemy team is, and also it's great for stealing things such as Dragon Baron or buffs. You just Clairvoyance a buff, you see it at low HP, maybe when you ult you can get that. So the next summoner spell is Flash. Flash is pretty much what most support should be running because Ghost doesn't seem like that type of a summoner spell, because once you get caught you're pretty much dead, you can't really ghost away. But with Flash, once you get caught you can flash away or flash over a wall and you actually might live. So basically what you do is Lux is very delicate without when her spells are on cooldown. So when Light Binding or Lucent Singularity or a Shield are down, she's very vulnerable to attack. So it's always good to have that extra summoner spell just so you can escape the enemy from attacking you. Alright, so here's the build that you should be building with Lux. So the first item that you should get is a Doran's Ring. Basically, Doran's Ring is a great starting item because it gives you the extra HP, mana regen, and ability power. So it's great to sustain your damage in the lane and your supports in the lane. It also gives you the extra bulk and AP. So next you're going to build 2 Philosopher's Stones, basically to keep your regen up and pretty much to keep yourself back in lane and pretty much to help support and keep your regen back up so you don't have to go back home as often. And then the next item that you should pick are your boots. So basically you have a choice between Sorc boots and Ionian boots. So pretty much Sorc boots, basically if you want to do some more damage, then go ahead and get Sorc boots. Pretty much the extra 20 magic pen will help you, especially with your ult and all your other spells. Then Ionian boots, basically if you want to feel more on the support side and you don't want to do as much damage, and you want your bind to be more on cooldown, then you can go ahead and get Ionian boots. And then this is where you make your big decision. Either you rush Rabadons, start with your Archangels, or build your Rod of Ages. Basically, if you want to rush Rabadons, that's pretty much just so you can have extra damage and increase your damage output in team fights and your burst. So it's great for a good early to mid game advantage. But then Archangels, pretty much what happens is that it just gives you more mana, and pretty much the mana regen can make you or help you spam more spells when it comes to pushing lanes, or just pretty much just to keep your mana up. And Rod of Ages, it's not as good as Archangels due to its ability power, and also Archangels has far more mana than Rod of Ages, but it's kind of a little, just to be on the safe side, just if you want to have your HP up and you want to still have some mana, you can go Rod of Ages. And the last item you should finish off with is a Void Staff, just because if the team's starting to stack magic resist, you don't want your damage to be pathetic, so you want to get that Void Staff so you can keep your damage up and sustained later on in the game. And under optional, there's Hourglass, Frozen Heart, Banshee's Veil, and Morello's Tome. So pretty much they're pretty much situational kind of items or luxury items, like I'd say. So pretty much the hourglass, pretty much if you think you're getting focused and you're getting bursted down, the hourglass is a great item because basically it's Zonya's hourglass and you can just be invulnerable for 2 seconds after you popped all your spells. And Frozen Heart, if you notice that you're getting destroyed by an Ash or somebody and your team still hasn't gotten a Frozen Heart yet, you can go ahead and get a Frozen Heart, and the cooldown reduction is great on Lux as well. So Frozen Heart is a good investment as well. And Banshee's Veil, just like if you feel that you're getting bursted by like a caster, then Banshee's Veil is a solid investment. It gives you mana, HP, and the shield and magic resist, just so that caster can't burst you. And Morello's Evil Tome, pretty much, it's just kind of a luxury item depending on what build you go. You can get just like an extra bonus AP and cooldown reduction is really important on Lux, so you can spam your spells, especially your ultimate. And since you're a support champion, you should always be buying wards, vision wards, and oracles if you need to. So pretty much during lane phase, you should buy wards just in case the jungler, maybe you want to ward dragon, because Lux is mostly at the bot lane. And vision wards can be for counter warding a dragon, say if there's an Eve in the game, and oracles can be used for like the enemy Eve, or you can also use oracles if you find that the enemy team is warding a little bit too much, so you can get the oracles on Lux. So these are the items that you should pick on Lux, and there should be more film footage on part 2.